Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches, bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. J. Slater Case on Friday, August 28th. Happy weekend to everyone that follows this channel. And just want to dip into what Debbie Duncan posted yesterday, was it? And what Ira Lovelace followed up with yesterday, was it? In regards to the mainstream media suddenly making the connection. I know it's like a child doing a dot to dot thing, but the mainstream media finally making a connection between this massive narco bust at Birmingham Airport that featured the conviction of Paige Cherry Chris to be sentenced October 22nd. Wife of, mainstream media has no doubt about it, wife of, they posted some photos of the actual ceremony in Thailand, wife of Ayub Abdul Qasim. And mainstream media made the connection, of course, that here we go. Yep, even though Jay Slater died by complete accident, yeah, no, accident, no foul play, no criminality in the background, just a coincidence that the last person that saw Jay Slater before he died by accident is the husband of this major narco operation, Thailand to Birmingham via Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Yeah, and there we go. I think that is important that connection that Jay did, in fact, call, was it not an associate or his friend, Ayub? Certainly not a stranger. Certainly not a stranger. Yeah, Jay's dear friend, Ayub, well and truly, it would seem, unless his dear wife did all this unbeknownst to him, it would seem very heavily involved in the narco business. There we go. So a certain amount of anger from Debbie Duncan because, well, I don't know. You tell me why. Why would Debbie Duncan be upset that the mainstream media had put out there that this very, very nasty gang, all found guilty, all going to be sentenced? I would have thought most people would have celebrated that as a victory for law and order and a death blow or a hammer blow to the narco gangs. But no, 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 there was no applauding from Debbie Duncan saying, this is good. All of that narco activity that was happening in Tenerife when Jay was there. We didn't like that at all, and we support the laws, the law. We support law and order. We support that. No, 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 there was none of that. You see, even though Debbie Duncan's been out there campaigning for ketamine awareness and what have you, raising funds for it, when it actually comes to the mainstream media saying, hey, look at this case, yeah, and look at these convictions, didn't the police do well? All of a sudden, Debbie doesn't want to know about that side of narco importing. No, no, she was angry about it. But why? Why? Why angry? Well, she said, let's read her post. We should actually go to her post without any more ado, because I believe it is here. And if my source of information is right, this post has since been removed. And again, the question, why, Debbie Duncan? Why would you post something and then remove it very quickly afterwards? So it is from Debbie Duncan's Facebook account. It says Debbie Duncan is feeling angry, angry face emoji. It says Daily Mail and The Sun. You should be ashamed of yourselves, sensationalizing your story by using Jay's name in connection to a young woman who smuggled cannabis into the UK. This is what Debbie Duncan is saying. Well, first of all, first comment is, why on earth would Debbie Duncan be surprised that the Sun or the Daily Mail would be sensationalizing anything? I mean, I would have thought that's run of the mill. It's a statement of the obvious. When Debbie Duncan says sensationalizing your story, it's like, hello, where have you been, Debbie Duncan? Never heard of the Sun? Never heard of the Daily Mail? So I'm going to take out that word sensationalizing. I'm going to replace it with a more apt adjective or phrase. I would say, you should be ashamed of yourselves as per normal. As per normal, you introduced an element into your story that was not needed. But I think it was. You see, Jay's name in connection to a young woman who's. Now, this begs the question. This begs the question because Debbie goes on, absolutely nothing to do with Jay, you parasites. How would you know, Debbie? How would you know? What happened in this cannabis smuggling operation had nothing to do with Jay. You wouldn't know that. Why would you assume that? This is all very off. We don't know the backgrounds of these people. I certainly don't know, but I wouldn't assume either way. I wouldn't assume that Ayub Abdul Qasim was involved in some narco smuggling operation in Tenerife. That got Jay involved. I wouldn't assume that at all. I wouldn't assume it's true. I wouldn't assume it's false. I wouldn't assume that Ayub Qasim is involved in this cannabis smuggling operation featuring his own wife, Paige. I wouldn't assume that. I would think it's very likely, but I don't know. And I'm always very, very wary if someone says absolutely nothing to do with Jay. You don't know that, Debbie? Sluggy, has Alice. No one on this planet knows this. Possibly one or two of Jay's friends would know if there is a connection. Possibly. But even they wouldn't be 100% sure. So, Debbie, shame on you. Shame on you for saying absolutely nothing to do with Jay. You have no idea. None whatsoever. But shame on you too, Debbie Duncan, for trying to call out the press for doing their job. It is the press's job to report the facts. The facts. Ayub Qasim is indeed, as the press reported, the husband of Paige Cherry Crisp, who was convicted as part of a gang in this narco operation. That is a fact. Ayub Qasim was indeed the last man to see Jay, if you follow the narrative, as Jay wandered down the road, had an accident, and died. He was indeed the last man. All of those are facts. That is not sensationalizing anything. It's up to the public. Joe Public then has to connect any dots that are there. Now, if Joe Public thought the inquest was all above board, Debbie Duncan, if Joe Public is fine with the inquest, as you were 100% fine with the inquest, and Joe Public's going to say nothing to see here. Just a coincidence. This name, Ayub Qasim, popped up in two separate different arenas. One in Tenerife, nothing to do with crime, all to do with an accident. That's one story featuring Ayub Qasim. And the other one, well, another one features narco importing, but possibly nothing to do with it. Yeah, Joe Public is not going to be connecting any dots here. Is he, Debbie Duncan? Or is he? Is your concern here, Debbie Duncan? Are you feeling angry, Debbie Duncan? Because all of a sudden, on a knife edge, is this whole BS narrative that there's no foul play or criminality in the background to Jay's death. Is that what you're angry about? Having strived so hard to push accident, accident, accident. Having strived so hard to get Jay's Law in operation to shut the likes of me up and No Bull up and others. You strived so hard to do that and failed. Now, all of a sudden, mainstream media ain't exactly your friend. Listen of the day, Debbie Duncan. Mainstream media doesn't give a tinker's cuss for you or your feelings or your stories, even though the Mirror paid you handsomely, I would suggest, for your exclusives. All of a sudden, the Mirror are reporting this too. They ain't your friend. Mainstream media will go out there and print anything that sells copy. And that's it. So are you angry, Debbie Duncan, that you thought mainstream media, the Mirror in particular, was all chummy and buddy with you? Is that a realization that you're angry about, that they are not? Is it a realization that your cleanup crew, the likes of Sluggy, the likes of Cazalis, the likes of the Penningtons, are you a little pissed off, Debbie, that your cleanup crew got sloppy? They let this one slip away. All of a sudden, mainstream media outlets are saying, hang on a second, Ayub Qasim could be a connection between two different criminal organizations. One Tenerife that may or may not have included Jay Slater. One Birmingham Airport. Is that what you're angry about? Mainstream media suddenly doing their job, Debbie Duncan, that your cleanup crew couldn't prevent it, and they're in panic mode, and you're angry about that. Is that what's making you angry? I think possibly so. Let us turn very quickly to El Slugtardo's response, because he too seems a little bit peeved, a little bit angry. We understand that because throughout this whole story, this whole saga, El Slugtardo has been the king of using Debbie Duncan as that human shield. As long as El Slugtardo can say, hey, I'm great buddies. I'm a great supporter of Debbie Duncan. She's my human shield. If you try to attack me, you're really attacking this poor grieving mother. Yeah, as soon as you start, targeting me for any kind of online speculation, oh, I can hold up this human shield, Debbie Duncan. She's the mother of the poor child who died by accident, and she's grieving. Is El Saltardo suddenly a little worried because Debbie Duncan's angry? And I think Debbie Duncan might be angry that El Slugtardo and co. slipped up here. Yeah? Accident, 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 but suddenly mainstream media is saying, really? Are we sure? Remember, Katie Davies of The Sun described that inquest as a fiasco, a farce. Well, let's have a quick look at how El Slugtardo did in fact react, if I can find that. No, I can't. Yes, I can. Luggy James Stanley, in support of Debbie Duncan, said, "Hi, Debbie. Hope you and family are all keeping well." Yeah, like Luggy James Stanley gives a monkey's arse for how the hell the family are doing up there in Oswald Twistle. Yeah, hope you and family are all keeping well. It was Parasite named No Bull on YouTube and TikTok, associated with that other POS parasite, Duncan Smith. Oh, that's not true. So let's correct this, Sluggy, before Liar Ivor gets invested in all his lies here. Bull is not associated with me at all. No Bull has No Bull's channel and will post whatever. I have my channel. I post whatever. I every now and then I will go to No Bull's channel. No Bull will come to my channel. We might exchange a few words, but we're not associated with each other. So drop the whole nonsense about being associated. You make it sound like we're some kind of partnership in a firm. We're not at all. And you say well, you've mentioned two people, No Bull and Duncan Smith. They sent this to Nick at The Sun. Well, there's two lies there, isn't there, Sluggy? Lie number one, I didn't send anything to anyone. So why are you making shite up about me? Is that the only thing you can do? You are so reduced, Slugtardo, so reduced to having your weak argument and using Debbie Duncan as your human shield, you now have to make up lies about me. No, I didn't send anything to anyone. So, I would suggest, Luggy James Stanley, you retract that. I mean, if I have the time, I can go to YouTube Legal and say he's mentioned my full name, the name of my channel. He said something that is untrue. No way. But it's No Bull that did that. No Bull very kindly confirmed on my channel. No Bull said, yeah, it was me. Went to Nick Pisa, I believe, at the Mail. And there's your second lie, Luggy. You are so sloppy, so sloppy. When you say Nick at the Sun, did you never follow when the journalists, the UK journalists, were doing their work on this case, Luggy? It was Nick Pisa at the Mail, Katie Davies at the Sun. Is your brain so pickled, Luggy James Stanley, you can't remember who Nick is and you can't remember who anyone is? So, Nick at the Sun, no, not true. Duncan Smith reporting anything to anyone, no, not true. Let's see if we can find a third lie. Lucky continues, they are quite happy with their latest crappy BS story. There's a third lie, there it is. BS story. Everything as reported is true. The fact, El Slugtardo, you can't even point one untruth, one lie, one inaccurate piece of information in any of the mainstream media articles. You can't point to anything that is untrue. Which means it is not a BS story. It is 100% factually on the money. Oh, crappy, yeah, from your perspective, Sluggy. Crappy because someone's crapping on your nonsense. Someone's crapping on your bullshit accident nonsense. That's why it's crappy. And you deserve to be crapped upon. They're doing their job finally. Mainstream media doing what you don't want them to do. Their job, reporting what is out there. So when you say BS story, no, this story got it right on the money, Luggy, and that's why you're angry. You say they managed to get mainstream to put to print. We didn't manage to get mainstream to do anything. Mainstream media chose to do it. There's not a lot of getting mainstream media to do anything. No Bull is just a small channel. I'm just a small channel. I didn't do anything. No Bull presented some information to mainstream media, and mainstream media got, to use your phrase, Lucky, got to put it into print. It was mainstream media's choice. So nice effort there, Sluggy, trying to get Debbie to think, oh, it's those online trolls that are the problem. It's the online sleuth, Sluggy, as always, just trying to get the mainstream media to do their job, and this time they did it. Then you say, Prob, they have sold this to the Sun also. Coffee break. Prob, they have sold this to the Sun also. Yeah, you see, in Sluggy's world, the only point of supplying mainstream media with a piece of information or an insight is for money. It's Debbie Duncan's world too. It's the whole accident group world too. Unless there's some kind of payment involved, they're not interested. Notions like truth, notions like justice, notions like doing the right thing, they mean nothing to Luggy James Stanley, because Luggy James Stanley only operates in a world where, hey, if there's a payment, I might do it for you. So in Sluggy's world, Debbie's world, AG world, probably they've sold this to the Sun also, probably because that's how they operate. There are others, Luggy James Stanley, that will contact the press because it's the right thing to do. There is no payment involved. Why would there be? In your world, payment involved because that's what the world is all about. Our world, Luggy, we're not looking for that. We're just happy for the press to do the right thing. Got it? Got it, Debbie? Got it, Kaz? You say, Luggy would not put that past these desperate muppets. Keep your chin up, gal. Yeah, here we go, Sluggy. Yeah, you better keep supporting your gal here. Keep supporting Debbie Duncan. By the way, when you say gal, you're now talking about Lucy. Or are you talking about Debbie? Keep your chin up, gal. That's right, you've got to keep supporting Debbie, because if Debbie suspects, Luggy, that you've let her down and she steps away from you, your human shield's gone. Your human shield, oh, yeah, can't attack the mother, she's grieving. So here is Sluggy desperately clinging on to his human shield, desperately clinging on to Debbie Duncan as that person that can keep him out of trouble. As long as he's aligned with the grieving mother, no real harm can come to him through the media. Or can it? Remove the shield, and El Slugtardo is El Vulnerable, the vulnerable one. You have plenty of support behind you. No, you don't, Debbie. If things turn south, you have no support behind you. El Slugtardo, the Penningtons, Kaz Alice, they all jump ship, Debbie, the second that they, the accident group, are under the cosh. You have no support behind you, Debbie. Don't be won over by this BS. Love and hugs, Luggy and family. So, Luggy's now roping his family in. So we got the human shield of Debbie, we've got the human shield of Luggy's family, and then Luggy's right behind them. No one can get to me, because I got my family. Yeah, no one attacks my family. And then we got Debbie grieving mother. All of these human shield defenses put up because Luggy, the cleanup crew king, suspects mainstream media might be about to turn. And I say, let's hope so. Let's hope so indeed. In my post, I mentioned, I think Jay's name is going to be cropping up a lot more. And that is why Debbie will get angrier, and that is why El Slugtardo will get even more frustrated. What do we have on the calendar? We have September. Stephen Rokas in court. Maybe not in person, but his case is back in court. The SA thing that is supposed to be tried in 2028. But his lawyers and other lawyers have to sort out how that is going to move forward, because it seems like the testimony given by the victim, the vulnerable one, is going to be difficult to handle. Apparently, that's my reading of it. FCMH. And October 22nd, Page going to be sentenced. Is that date noted down on your calendar, Ayub? Is it noted on your calendar, El Slugtardo? Is it noted on your calendar, Debbie Duncan? Because 22nd of October, judge is going to decide what happens to Page. And when the judge decides what happens to Page, that judge will be weighing up all kinds of factors. One of them might be to what degree Page, in the end, despite pleading not guilty, did decide to cooperate, maybe offer some information that might be helpful to law and order. I don't know, I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if a little bit of singing happens from the Rockas side, from the Page Cherry Crisp side, from any side as we press forward in the next few months. All I'm saying is, don't be surprised, don't get angry, don't get frustrated, Debbie. Jay's name might be popping up a few more times because the press, if they're doing their job, might join some dots and say, if we go back to Tenerife, this kind of behavior we see here is pretty darn similar to what we're seeing over in the UK. I'll leave it there. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you later.